Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beyond the 90. We don't really want to be doing this one, do we, James?
Not really, but it has to be done. And we could just talk about the first half, but I think we're going to have to talk about the second half as well.
Yeah, if we would have left it at first, we'll come on to that. So, just in case you guys didn't know, we've just lost 4-1 to Bournemouth. So yeah, I think we're going to talk about both first halves, even though we want to talk about one half. But just over to you, James. What are your first thoughts on the match as a whole?
Very, very disappointed. I thought we lost the first half. Tillemans was on fire. He looked back to his old best. Scrappy goal, but we deserved it. We're all over them. Half time. I just thought we're going to come out here and put 3 or 4 past these. And then before we kicked off for the second half, I was like, why is Nacho coming off?
Yeah.
To me, that's like Pep at half time bringing off Jesus and putting on a kind of defensive midfielder. And I just thought to myself, surely you're not going to try and hold out this, whether he's injured or not. To me, it just seemed like a silly move. And after that, we've got first goal penalty. I thought Ndidi was lucky to stay on the pitch. Last man standing usually goes off. Got a yellow card. I thought we got away with it. Then they scored a second. Blokes push soyuncu into the back of the net, and he's just kicked out. It's a straight red all day long. Down to 10 men, and we just completely fell apart. I've not seen Leicester play that bad in a long time. The heads dropped. They scored 4. I think I've seen lots of fans quite miffed on Twitter. A lot of them blaming Rodgers. Yeah, Rodgers has to take the blame, but also the players on the pitch need to take a big drink of that. And that's Youngchu's season done. Won't see him again this season.
Yeah, it's disappointing with the whole soyuncu thing. And I think we both said at the beginning of the season as well, he's going to be a bit of a hothead. He's going to get a few red cards.
Yeah.
But this was the kind of opportunity. We've seen it flare up a few times. And this time is just the time where he knew he was going off.
Yeah.
But he lashed out. It's going to taint him for the rest of the season now.
Yeah.
And it gave away that it was just it was a slip up by Schmeichel, but there's nothing we could do. I agree with you. I think the thing that really annoyed me the most is that when we went down to 2-1, there was a chance that we could come back in the game. I won't say that we'll go on to win it, but there was a chance we could get a draw, and that would have put us on the same point as Chelsea, but ahead on goal difference. So if the Man United result was to go ahead and be a win, then we'd stay in 4th position. Now it's not the case, so we're going to drop down to 5th if Man United win. So it's really disappointing, and we've definitely seen the guile from the players and the chances they've actually come back together and pushed on as a team. There was none of that today. Pratt again was a very strange substitution because Nacho was doing okay, and I just don't see the point in it. And then just one after another, the mistakes kept happening. That Johnny Evans towards the end of the game lost his head. You see and obviously the own goal and stuff didn't help. But it was. I want to say it was part Bournemouth luck and partly we just dropped our heads and we allowed them to play. We allowed the luck to come into their game. So Bournemouth do deserve it overall, but at the same time, you're like, man, why did we make these mistakes? Because there's times where we've had more pressure put on us and we've come out better. So I'm just struggling to find out why. Not that we let in 4 goals, but after 2-1 and down to 10 men, we could have got back in the game, and we just like, now we've lost it. It's done. It's over. So that's my main concern with it after 2-1.
Yeah, I was just having a quick think about the first half. I thought also Albrighton came off. Why not go for a like-for-like substitution? Why go, okay, then we'll bring Bennett on and be more defensive? Because I thought if you'd have gone for a like substitution with Brighton and a straight swap, Gray or someone like that, it could have been anyone, and we'd have probably been better. So Bennett comes on, we change the formation, we go to a flat 3. James Justin's distribution wasn't the best all game. But they were dreadful. I'm not being funny anything.
Yeah.
The first half, they couldn't pass the ball. I could not see them creating a chance. And then the second half, Schmeichel, I think we've touched on the past, his distribution's not been the greatest in some games. It's hit Ndidi, and Ndidi's tried to recover it. Yeah, it was a penalty. soon as the penalty goes in 1-0, I expected us to come out and proper fight then. They've scored, right,
Yeah.
we need to win this now. Let's go out there and win it. Heads dropped. Their second goal, Solanke's not scored all season, I think, comes on, scores through Schmeichel, and as soon as you get sent off. But even when you're down to 10 men, you should be going, right, we need to stop leaking goals and score goals. And Barnes had a great shot in the last minute. But again, it's too little too late. I just think tactically we got it wrong second half. But I think half the blame's on Rodgers, but half is on that team out there. They just dropped.
Yeah, I think I remember I was saying to you at the just before half time as well. We need to get 2 goals in, then we can take our time, let Bournemouth put on the pressure, and we can just absorb it. So the problem is some of these players haven't played a lot of the games that they've played the same games, game in, game out since Project Restart has started, and it's taken an effect on it. Again, we've lost Albrighton. We don't know how long he's out for. Soyuncu, we've just lost to the rest of the season. That's another player that we're now out on, and our squad is looking thinner and thinner as we go on.
Yeah.
So it's not looking good, but it's all our own fault at the same time. So again, you were saying, as we were saying before, I've seen teams in the Championship that look better than Bournemouth in the first half. They were all over the place defensively. They weren't closing down players. And this is not to put the blame on Bournemouth, because credit to them, they came out second half and they really just handed it to us. When whether they deserve it or not, they were the team putting in the effort and actually striving to make a win out of that game. We weren't. And after a while, we just resorted to old tactics, which is just hit the ball and hopefully Vardy will get it. And you're like, we're playing all these midfielders. We're playing 4 midfielders.
Yeah.
Why not just have a go and try and just secure that, play through the middle and get it into Vardy? And he took his opportunity, great. But apart from that, you're right. There was times where everything seems to be going right in the first half. And then he made the sub. That seemed to have changed things. And everything from then just seemed like a Leicester City that was, I wouldn't even expected our under-23s to play as badly as we played in the second half. And even players that don't normally let us down. So Kasper Schmeichel, Johnny Evans, these players that are normally rocks that you can rely on have let us down. Maybe it's all just come in one game, but I think this is one to just completely forget about, because, I mean, that potentially might be Champions League done.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And I think we've talked on a podcast and we've talked on these shows before around, since I think it was Norwich in December, since that game, we've had relegation form. We've been drawing, not winning many. And then the other night, we score loads of goals and everyone's happy again. And then you get games like this where, let's be honest, it should have been 3-0 at half-time. You should be going at half-time and that's it, game over. As soon as Ake came off, I thought, that's it, game over. Their best defender, the only one that seemed to know what he was doing in that first half. But again, second half, yeah, we leaked goals, but we didn't attack them at all. It's just kind of game over. And Tillemans had that joy in the first half where he was running that midfield. And then as soon as they scored, it kind of stopped. And that's the bit I don't get. If you look back to when we won the league, even the year before we won the league, when we did that great escape, we'd go 1-0 down and win 2-1 because they were fighting. That fight seems to have gone for me. And is that a change room thing? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is, but you would have think with the professionals like Fuchs and other people like that, they would have had they know what it's like to be in this position where you're 1-0 down, and simple. If we're going to play in a formation where you take somebody off, right? You take off a striker, just like we did in the season when we won the league. You take off the striker, Shigeru Okazaki / Iheanacho, bring on a midfielder, brilliant. Now you play 4-4-2, see out the game. We've done it time and time again. And a lot of these squad players know how to do that.
Yeah.
But we just didn't seem to want it almost. We didn't seem to want to be able to do that. And again, it was our own fault that we've lost the game. But again, it shows you that in the second half how much confidence means. And that Bournemouth team should not have won that game. But just on confidence alone, that's how they got the 4th goal. just because we dropped our heads and we kind of like shuffled around like we didn't deserve to play football, and it's sad, but I don't even know what to say, to be honest. I think all over the pitch there was, in the first half, it just looks so different to the second half, that I think, yeah, you're right. The players need to take responsibility, and Rodgers needs to take responsibility as well. But it's not looking best at the moment.
No, and I was having a conversation with someone at half time around, we look really comfortable, and I was saying, if we need to go out and score 2 or 3 more goals, and that's Bournemouth relegated.
Yeah.
Because I think they've got Man City Wednesday night, and they're 6 points adrift, and they've never clawed that back. So tonight we've given them a lifeline, which is great for them. But for us, Champions League, Man United playing tomorrow night. Yes, Chelsea lost yesterday. But that race is hotting up, and our form's not right. We're going to Sheffield United. Well, we've got Sheffield United at home. We've all seen what Sheffield United have been like the last few games. You then got Spurs. Spurs will park a bus, don't really ship goals, scored 2 today against Arsenal. And then you've got Man United, the last game of the season. So I think he's got time to turn around. The thing that worries me, and we've discussed this a lot in the past, is when you're playing 2 games a week as professionals, we've seen in the past that they shouldn't really be doing, and we've seen lots of teams squad rotate. So as I saw, Man City have started to rotate their good players because they've got loads of good players. It's quite easy to do with them. But we seem to be playing our best 11. Has it got to the stage now where they're getting a bit burnt out, should we say?
Yeah.
Yes, we miss Maddison, but then I think about, do we miss Maddison that much? Because when he plays, Tielemans doesn't really shine. When Maddison's out, we get the great Tielemans back. So for me, we've got that. Ricardo completely missed him. Unbelievable player. James Justin's obviously not to his standard with passing. James Justin's doing his best, but he's a young player and needs to develop. So yes, we've got injuries, but I don't believe that's an excuse. We've got players in there that are more than capable to finish third.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And obviously, just come back to the Ricardo thing, James Justin has had it's great exposure for him. He's played well. He's played good. But you can't really expect too much out of him because, let's face it, Ricardo is just such an amazing talent. And to be behind that, and then for him to play no games pretty much all season, then to play every single match, it is silly. And playing wing backs, especially if we lose him on that right-hand side, now we've lost all Brighton. I don't know how long for. It depends on what they say the injury-wise. Our squad depth is looking thinner and thinner and thinner. And we're using players like Fuchs. If, heaven forbid, we have an injury to him, then we've got nobody on that left-hand side that can really cover that position now. So, yeah, our squad depth is definitely looking thin, and hopefully that's something they'll address in the summer. But yeah, just back to the game, like, there wasn't... Do you think, because Schmeichel made a good save first half, and he's, since the beginning of the lockdown, since football's restarted, he's looked our best player. But even now, even this game with the first goal, with the first conceded goal, with the penalty, and then the second goal, what do you think? What do you think? It was a lapse in concentration? Do you think? Because we've seen Schmeichel have bad distribution before. This isn't the first time. But something about this game, especially in the second half, it just changed for him completely.
Yeah. So the first half, he's tipped that ball around the post. God knows how he got to it. It was a great shot. And then second half, penalty. Not really his fault. Well, distribution was his fault, and did he cause a penalty? It is what it is. The third goal for me was kind of the turning point. Schmeichel's been saving every single. It wasn't the best shot in the world. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Schmeichel's been saving them week in, week out since we went back to lockdown, and that's why he's been so good. He went under his body. For him, that'd be really disappointing as a goalkeeper for his level. But I think that's probably where the problems have caused. His head's dropped. If his head drops, then everybody else is dropped. He's the captain. He should be telling them on that pitch, get back up, we're fighting for this. But if his head drops, then everybody else's drops. And I think that kind of what the problem is. Everyone's head just went down. I just think we've got some great players out there, and I get disappointed that Barnes isn't starting. He's the kind of player that, although he's not been playing that well, he runs at people. Bournemouth defence is scared by that. So You get him running at people and they get scared, which he did when he came on. I just think it was too little too late. I think there were so many problems out there. I don't know what it was, but everybody had an off game. You don't generally get that. And it's just in one half as well. The first half, they were passing accurately, 10 attempts, 3 on target, everyone's getting happy. And the second, I don't know what he said to them at half time.
Yeah, you're right. I think that I think without making too many excuses, because the players need to take responsibility for this, they just seem tired in the second half. But it's so strange, because if they played like that for 90 minutes, you could say, look, Rodgers, you need to rotate the squad. You need to change in certain players. You can't expect Vardy. And because at times you just see when in the second half, Vardy's head just dropped.
Yeah.
Every time. And then he went for the ball. And that's not the same Jamie Vardy that you saw against Crystal Palace. Even when he was frustrated, he was annoyed at times, but he would thump the ground and then he'd go, right, let's go again. And that wasn't when they went back to the Bournemouth defenders. Steve Cook is really aging defender, and obviously to force that save, you were saying, it's force that change into Nathan Ake is not the best for them. And we're thinking, yeah, we can go on and win this. So maybe it was the arrogance almost that would go, yeah, well, we've got this now. We're winning 1-0. We can change it back, take Nacho off. Don't worry, we've got this in the bag. But we just didn't play like it. So I don't know. Yeah. I've not really got too much to say, because they deserve it, Bournemouth, but 4 goals does make it look a lot more. Well, I don't know. It's just a combination of things. The squad depth, the fact that our squad's tired, the fact that everybody had an off day. It's just multiple things where we could slip further and further down the table. Considering we were in 3rd position, it's just looking for bad to worse. So it's not looking good.
I've just been looking at the stats. So at half time, we had 10 shots, 3 on target, which I thought, because we have a conversation around our shots on target have not been the best, and I thought that's quite a good start. We ended up with 13 shots and 5 on target. So in that second half, we've only had 3 shots. Whereas in the first half, Bournemouth had 1 shot, 1 on target. They ended up the game with 10 shots, 4 on target. They had 4 on target and scored 4. If you look at the stats, we had 65% first half. I think we ended up with 53. So it's just, I know you get the old saying it's a game of 2 halves, but I've never seen a game that's completely gone one way than the other. So I think it'd be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, we've got Sheffield United Thursday night, see how that goes. But I think looking at the form, where do we finish? We're currently 4th. Man United play tomorrow night. We could potentially be 5th going into that Sheffield United game. Man City hearing result tomorrow. If they get cleared of all charges, then it's top 4 in the Champions League. And that race for 3rd and 4th spot hots up. And we need to beat Sheffield United, beat Spurs for a fighting chance with that last game. Man United are on fire. I think they're unbeaten in 17. Chelsea lost the other day. I expect Chelsea to pick themselves back up and do. But I hope Rodgers gives them the kicking they deserve, and they come back Sheffield United and come back fighting to the old Leicester that we know and love.
Yeah, you're right. I think that's the case. And bearing in mind, this Sheffield United team put 3 against Chelsea. So it's not going to be an easy game for sure, but we're just going to have to see. I think hopefully they'll just have to give them a kicking, forget about it, give them a day just to rest, chill out, and then get back on this. Hopefully, we'll have to see if he rotates the squad or not, but the problem is we haven't got the squad to really rotate with. Yeah. So, it's disappointing, but who can we blame but ourselves? Because we've let the position slip. We've let the 3rd and 4th slip from our hand because of us. We've let these goals in today. It was our fault. So if we don't get it at the end of the day, I'll still take Europa League, but it's not. It's as when we had what was it called, Doug and the one on the podcast, and they were saying this is very reminiscent of what happened for the Liverpool when they slipped up. It's just looking like the same thing here. So I'm just hoping that they can move on from this, but the signs aren't good. But hopefully this is where people like Schmeichel, Evans, Morgan, Fuchs get paid the money that they do in order to coach this squad and go, right, we pick ourselves up, we dust ourselves off, and we go and try and retain that Champions League position, because this is where the youth of the squad will essentially, this where their weakness is, and where that you need the big characters to really step up and hold themselves accountable as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking, because obviously we used to do our other show, and I was just thinking we used to have a conversation around formations, and the past manager, won't mention his name, he used to change formation during a game, and we had that conversation about they didn't like the change. And I think up until December, we always played 4-4-2, and it seemed to work really well in the first half of the season. Now we go into 3 at the back, 5 in midfield, 4 in midfield, different formations. Are the players kind of rejecting the formation because they don't know the formation inside out, and they're not really sure who's got what roles? And is that one of the problems why we've fallen apart? Because soon as Albrighton went off, we changed formation again.
Potentially, but we didn't change formation that much, because then Justin was slipped into that wing back position. Bennett just comes in. They've played that position, and that's how they've played in the last couple of matches. So we're not really expecting anything too differently. And also, we've played against Arsenal in that formation. Yeah, Arsenal, which was a hard challenge. Crystal Palace, which was a bit of a walkover. But maybe you're right, but the players need to stand up and hold themselves accountable, because one change from going from taking Nacho off and putting Pratt on, okay, that's a bit of an interesting move, trying to secure the midfield, but that's not going to change the whole squad. That's not going to affect the defence that much, or the wing backs that much. So that one player can't affect the whole squad. So that's what I'm kind of annoyed about, because it's unnecessary. The amount of possession we conceded, the amount of sloppy chances we conceded, and at times it was like Ndidi was just playing in the middle, almost as if he was a centre back, and he didn't really know. Nobody really knew their role. Even Fuchs was just making chances where he was like, "Oh, I'll just hit it up to Vardy and see what happens," but it wasn't good enough. But yeah, I'm hoping they can learn from this, because this is probably the worst defeat of the season, and probably of even last couple of seasons or so, just from the way this happened. But do you know what, we'll have to see, because it's not looking good. It's really not looking good. I thought we'd kind of passed that hurdle. Arsenal was a bit of a let off, but it just looks like we're back in this fight that we shouldn't be in, that we shouldn't have put ourselves under, but we are.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. I just thought overall it was very disappointing to see. One thing I always notice when the subs get announced, I always think to myself, if some team parks a bus and we can't penetrate that team, we've got no one that can come on that's a game changer.
Yeah.
If you look at even Man United, Man City, Liverpool, if they can't penetrate their teams, they can bring someone on that's a game changer. We've got Chowdhury and Matty James. CDMs are not really going to change games, are they? And we've got Nacho and Vardy playing together up front. We've got no other striker to come on to do that. And I think that's what you said earlier. We need that depth in that squad now. So I hope in the summer they kind of dust themselves off and go out and buy that squad in depth. Because we do need it. We need a game changer that can come on, such as Cambiasso. Great example. Someone like that got a good head on his shoulders, knows how the game works. I just think we probably need that squad in depth, and that squad's getting a bit vulnerable now and quite exposed.
Yeah, especially with the amount of injuries we've got as well, and potential long-term injuries that have was slot straight into the first team as well. So yeah, I think you're right, but yeah, I think enough has been said. So I think we'll wrap this one up here, because otherwise we'll just be in tears in another 10 minutes if we keep talking about it, James. So yeah, thank you all for watching once again. Make sure to like and subscribe, and let's see if we can keep the Champions League spaces. It's not looking promising, but we'll see coming the end of the season. But we'll do so. Make sure you stay subscribed. We'll do full post-match commentary for all the games until the end of the season, and we have got a podcast coming out every Monday as well. So make sure you tune in for them. So apart from me and James, it's goodbye. Make sure you subscribe to Beyond the 90.
Thanks.